documenting stories about our world. I was in London at the time of this attack and bought a ticket to Nice that night. We hear about tragedy, we post on Facebook, yet most of us have never seen the aftermath of a tragedy like this one. I arrived in Nice unsure of what to expect. I knew that I had to tell their story. Real people, just like you or I, have their lives turned upside down by acts of terrorism. You don't see this. We see snapshots, the numbers, and the political effects. The story that I set out to tell is of the feelings experienced in such a horrible tragedy that happens to our world so often. After walking through small streets, past countless small cafes, you will find yourself at a beach without sand. Locals gather at this beach made of smooth rock to enjoy the beautiful weather that Nice offers. Just above this beautiful beach are flags that wave at half-mast. This contrast leaves us wondering, how could such tragic events, how could such evil take place in a beautiful setting that is our world? 2 days after the attack, the scene for a place for victims was still busy. President of the region and former mayor, Christian Estrosi, declined to make comments about the attack at this location and time. He later said, "This is the worst catastrophe our region has seen in modern history. We now have to mobilize all of our services, psychologists, and volunteers who are trained to help fellow human beings. I want to thank people who welcome passerby and those people who show us tonight that hopefully solidarity still exists in a world that is too egotistical and individualistic." Just outside of the place for victims, this man was looking for his son. When asked what happened to his son, the man said he was with his mother during the attack, but his mother died. "I think that my son has been injured during the attack and that he has been transported to a hospital, but I do not know where." A journalist then asked, "Have you been to all of the hospitals?" And he said, "Yes, but they can't give me the information. He is only 4 years old and may be shocked. Maybe he is dead."
Oui. Mais on n'a pas d'informations au niveau, ils peuvent pas nous donner des informations comme ça qu'il y en a pour 4 ans.
Today is the first day of 3 nationally declared days of mourning. Hundreds of people have gathered on the streets where the Bastille Day tragedy occurred. Flowers, candles, and messages are being placed to recognize the 84 people who have died and over 200 who are injured. This first day of mourning has been a day of incredible sadness and confusion as to what is next for their lives and the community. Being at the scene of such grieving has made me realize that the saddening headlines tell us so little. They can't tell us of the horror and long-term sadness that a tragedy like this brings. I'm just returning from riding a bike. The attendant was crying. In the little English that she spoke, she said, "They have just found my friend." Those are the same words that thousands of people in this city have said and will continue to say until all bodies are identified. This is what the headlines miss. There are very real people that are engulfed in tragedy. I'm standing on the street where the Bastille Day tragedy took place. People walk up and down this street, recognizing the places where people have passed. Flowers and candles sit in piles where people once stood. The same street that was filled with fireworks and laughter just days ago is now filled with tears and sadness. This artist added blue and red to the sides of a white rectangle painted on the street, creating the French flag. It was remarkable to watch the deeply personal experience of this man putting his heart into the promenade and his red and blue handprint in the middle of the flag. With his hands completely red and blue, he sat back and wept. In front of him, a bag of candles and a lighter. In a beautifully spontaneous way, people started grabbing the candles and lighting them. In an act of solidarity, this flag was quickly surrounded by people, candles, and emotion. Just about 100 meters from where the artist painted the flag on the road, a group of people gathered around a very different memorial. People clap as another person contributes to the flames. At the location where the driver of the truck was killed, an anti-memorial was quickly formed. Everyone at these memorials knows that there was a killer, and this is the place where their feelings towards him are expressed. Seeing young children and crying adults spit into the pile of garbage presents a real question of grieving. This anger was unlike the message being presented throughout the rest of the promenade. The memorials displayed messages of love, hope, and peace. Seeing this anger towards this anti-memorial was overwhelming. Around this garbage, there's a certain kind of anger that can be hard to understand unless you were heavily impacted by this dramatic attack. Walking up and down the promenade, you can feel the power of music. These aren't street musicians looking for your change. These are people who join the community in mourning with something that everyone can connect with. Groups of people circle around musicians in silence as they use music as their means to grieve, reflect, and understand.
And so we are searching our way, and we love how we want to, hetero, lesbian or gay. Liberté, égalité et fraternité, ce sont nos valeurs, nous allons les protéger.
The people along the road expressed and connected with their feelings in different ways. Many were brought together through music, some reflected spiritually and thoughtfully, and tears were abundant.
Whenever you are on the outside and need a little compassion, don't know the ground you're stepping on, and you're a long way down from where you're standing, and all your lighthouses are gone. Reach out your hand I will make it easier and forever by your side. Oh, I'll be on your side. There is a radiation that's been mistaken, an invisible thread between us all. So here I am, full of mistakes, caught in a hologram. A wonder wall, reach out your hand. I will make it easier and forever by your side. Oh, I'll be on your side.
On the final day of mourning, a closing ceremony was held. A beautiful time to put feelings behind you and move on with the grieving process. The streets were packed, with thousands of people coming to participate. Emergency service responders were clapped for and praised as they walked through the clearing of people. When the national anthem was being sung, the Prime Minister of France and President of the region can be seen walking through the clearing, receiving boos and shouts of "Resign" and "Murderers." People have had enough of tragedy like this one.
Vigilance totale. Attentat. Pas de sécurité. Si, sécurité, mais néante.
Just outside of where the Prime Minister walked by, this man told reporters, "Nobody is doing anything. The government isn't doing anything. We have to sing the national anthem before. We have to act before. We are waiting until problems happen to do something." The clock hit 10, and people immediately organized. How amazing it was to see all kinds of different people work so closely in community to accomplish a task, to move the entire memorial against the wall of the promenade, facing the sea. And this is how the immediate aftermath of the attack ended. After this very special night, these faces of Nice would begin to go back to their lives changed, and Nice would return to being the tourist destination city that it is. Everything that you've seen in this film was caused by one person. One person. Yet the response that you saw was an entire city coming together to condemn violence and promote love. This man was inspired by Islamic extremism and his own inner problems. He chose the Bastille Day celebration for his day to attack. This attack changed the face and faces of Nice forever. This letter, placed on a memorial, uses the common phrase of solidarity, "Je suis," meaning I am, to say I am exhausted. Being exhausted being a theme across the world when thinking of attacks like this. Attacks continue to happen, affecting communities everywhere. Every time an attack on humanity occurs, tears are shed and families are broken. Next time you hear about an act of terror, remember the faces
We're
of Nice.
standing united, a Pour défendre la liberté, nous ne céderons jamais. We will never give in. La liberté va gagner. Freedom will win. La liberté va gagner. Freedom will win. La liberté va gagner.
Freedom will win.